Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Swarm, a BW football podcast. I'm your host, Matt Florjancic, and for the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking all things Yellow Jacket football as we break down the 27-26 victory over the Ohio Northern University Polar Bears on Senior Day and preview this upcoming week's regular season finale against the Heidelberg Student Princes in Tiffin. We'll talk with wide receiver Connor Awad, defensive back TJ Handsel, and head coach Jim Hilvert, and then we will preview the weekend ahead for all Yellow Jacket athletic teams. Right now, we're going to get into the interview portion of the show, and we're going to kick things off with wide receiver Connor Awad. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Swarm, a BW football podcast. Matt Florjancic now joined by wide receiver Connor Awad of the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. Connor, first time we've had you on the program. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from you and get your perspective on things with the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. First and foremost, you're coming off of a big win against Ohio Northern, 27-26. You made probably the first of the big plays for the offense, getting that deep reception early in the game. What allowed you to make that kind of play? Not only catching the ball, but then the play after the yards after the catch that you got.
I would say mostly preparation. Preparation is kind of the key into this game. We knew that we could hurt them deep with the tight end on our side, get that safety coming down. They have a 3-high safety kind of look. And instantly we kind of called our shot and see if we can get something rolling. And it happened. It got completed. It was a perfect kind of roll into our first touchdown in about a minute into the game.
From a receiver standpoint, what does it do for you when you get that kind of early opportunity to impact the game so positively?
It's a big confidence booster, I would say, and especially in the whole team. It boosts everyone's morale. It gets everyone's stoked just getting ready to get into the end zone.
You're a bigger-bodied wide receiver. You're one of the taller receivers that the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets have, but you showed some shiftiness and some skills in terms of being able to shake off a defender or two on that play. But what's your secret when you catch the ball in terms of being able to make defenders miss?
I guess it's more of a feel standpoint. I kind of know where guys are when I'm going to get the ball and what they're going to do, what kind of angle they're going to come at me at. And as soon as I get the ball, I kind of just black out and see how many yards you can get.
So when you came back, you have to quote-unquote blacking out for making the play. I mean, what was the excitement level within the huddle?
Just through the roof. Everyone's just excited. Everyone's excited to be there, and just everyone's excited to get that win.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the excitement level of watching one of your teammates play. George Limburger later in the game had a run for the ages that, unfortunately, for a kid from Ohio Northern, he's going to remember for all the wrong reasons. George just flat ran through him, ran over him, and seemed to bring everybody back to life at a time where the offense was, sort of struggling, and then he kind of brought everybody back. How grateful are you to have that guy on your team and not have to tackle him?
That I am very grateful. That was a much-needed play, and I have never seen our team kind of jump around and everyone just converged into a very happy moment. And that really got us rolling in that second half.
Yeah, and it was a tough go after the first drive. Like you said, you score within the first 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden Ohio Northern ties the game. Then they recover an onside kick. Then they go down the field and take a lead. And then you're kind of in that lull territory where not a lot of things are going right. Joseph Evans has to run out there and pump the ball quite a bit. But from your perspective, what's going on in your head when the offense is going through those struggles? How are you trying to figure out what you can do to make plays?
A big thing we kind of coincide as a team is a next play mentality, and every time coming off the field, our first thing our coach says is next play, because we know we have it in us. We've seen prior games that we put up 60, 50 points easily, so we know that it can get it done, and we did that in the end.
How much fun was it to get the win on Senior Day? I know you're not there yet in terms of your years here at BW, but to get one more win for those seniors who won't be playing here again, what did it mean to you to help facilitate that?
The win itself meant a lot to me, but just for that being the seniors, their senior day and their last time at Finney Stadium, to have that kind of win, that kind of camaraderie, and that kind of happiness throughout the team, I just cannot feel any more grateful to have that kind of win for them.
As a wide receiver that's come through this program, and now you have a couple of years of experience, but coming through, you've had a lot of good mentors to kind of help you along the way. What a guy like Vinny LeMayo, who's playing in his last few weeks as a Yellow Jacket, done to help bring you along as a wide receiver?
His positive mentality, everything that he looks at the glass half full, not half empty, that kind of deal. And it's just anytime you can get down on yourself, he is the first person you can lean on and kind of get back into your zone.
Good guy to have in the brotherhood, correct?
100%. Wouldn't take it for the world.
So let's take a look at what brought you here to Baldwin-Wallace. I mean, you were a star at Midview High School, a good program with a great tradition of success. What made you want to continue your football career, and what made you want to be a Yellow Jacket?
What made me want to continue my football career was just the love for the game. I started when I was 7 years old and haven't looked back since. And the Baldwin-Wallace part, it was kind of just on my first visit. I only had one visit here, and it kind of just instantly felt like home. I knew this is a program that wanted to win more than anything and cared to win. My big thing was to care to win. A lot of games aren't won because not the whole team cares and believes in the team. So this was a place that I found that could work out.
You came from a program that has a lot of fan support. You come to another in Midview, and you come to another program in Baldwin-Wallace that has fan support as well. Did you kind of feel a similarity when you were looking at Baldwin-Wallace to what you were used to at Midview?
100%. A fan base as loyal and committed to Midview as well as Baldwin-Wallace is exactly what I was looking for. Something that gets the fans coming to the game. The fans want to come to the game. They want to see us succeed, that kind of deal.
When you take a look at what you've gone through in your first couple of years in the program, how have you progressed from a skill standpoint? Are you where you want to be? Have you made the necessary steps that you wanted to make to get where you want to go?
As a goal standpoint, no, I would say I'm not where I want to be, but I have 100% progressed since I've been here. The coaches have shown me nothing but progression, and since I've been here 2 years ago to now, I've made the biggest leap in my skill set and just my all-around knowledge around football. So 100% I've gained.
So when you say you're not quite where you want to be, where is that point?
I want to be 100% an All-American. I want a 1,000-yard season. That'd probably be where I know I could push even farther than that, but that is my first kind of stepping stone into the accolades world.
It's a pretty good accolade. How are you going to get there?
Just have that connection with the quarterback, and just as long as that team kind of works together, ball's thrown around, everybody's wanting to be in that game, I think it's easily accomplished.
Speaking of the quarterback position, you're breaking in a new quarterback this year. You had Joey Marisak last year, and now you get Charlie Bubonics, and Charlie's put up some really good numbers from a quarterback's standpoint. What's your take on his season and how it's gone, and how have you tried to build that chemistry with him?
I think Charlie's an exceptional quarterback. I think every single role, every single aspect that everyone wanted him to be, he has played that role and even went way above and beyond that role. I think over the summer, him and me trying to do routes on air just that can build that connection, where the speed is, where the timing is a huge factor into how we're playing this season and why some of these balls everyone's like, how did that get there? How did he make this play? He's trained for, so I think he's very prepared.
How important is that time in the off season when you're working with other guys to make sure that you can get that timing down so when you hit the start of camp, you can hit the ground running?
It's night and day. If you don't work out in the summer and kind of build that connection, build that bond, a lot messes up in the offense. That whole team all together, you don't have that yet until you build it. But if you do in the summer, you're already there, and now you can just build off of that.
What was one thing that you really focused on in terms of the summer that you've been able to apply to this season?
A big thing I focused on was route running. I needed to be a lot more crisp, a lot more smooth, easily to get open if you're smooth and it's fast. And that was what I worked on.
Is that something you've always kind of worked on, is that route running?
100%. I feel like that's the main part of the game. You can be on the slower side but run great routes, and you see a lot of great players, they're always open. So that's really all you got to be, is really smooth.
So you were open against Ohio Northern. You made a couple of plays. Going in this week, it's the regular season finale. You get Heidelberg on the road. How are you going to try to help this Yellow Jacket team get a W? I'm
going to play my role as a team, whether that's catching deep balls like last game or whether that's blocking for the running back, just like the last play on ONU. Anything that I can do to contribute to get points on the board is what we're going to get.
What would it mean? I know we had the Senior Day celebration, but what would it mean to you to give the seniors another win to go out having gone 3-0 in November?
I think that'd mean the world, especially with one of my also receiver teammates, Oliver, coming from Heidelberg. I think that win means that much more. I think the seniors' last game forever and Oliver's game at his school that he used to be at, I think it would be a huge win for us and our program.
Oliver has been a nice addition to this locker room from the outside perspective, but you are in the meeting room with him every single day. What has he brought to this Yellow Jacket team?
His hard working. I've never seen someone just put his head down and go straight to work from the minute he got here in the summer. And the minute he just stepped into camp, he was just known as that X factor and a great guy to have in the room.
Well, Connor, thank you very much for taking the time and talking with me. I greatly appreciate it. I wish you luck, not only on Saturday against Heidelberg, but for the rest of your Yellow Jacket career. And I look forward to seeing you go get that All-American honor.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on.
That's Connor Awad of the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. We'll be back with more right after this break. Our thanks go out once more to Connor for taking the time and talking with us here on the Swarm. Now we're going to turn things over to the defensive side of the ball with TJ Handsel. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Swarm, a BW football podcast. I'm your host, Matt Florjancic, and right now I'm being joined by star defender for the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, TJ Handsel. TJ, thank you very much for joining us here on The Swarm. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
So, TJ, taking a look at your season as a whole, you got one more game left, but looking at what you've been able to accomplish, what's this 2024 season been like for you?
It's been up and down. Started strong. Tailed off in the middle of the season, lost some tough games, had some tough losses, but teams picked it up since then, and I feel like we've had a good season, just a couple missteps.
How have you responded from those missteps in terms of how do you put it behind you and then focus on the task at hand so one loss doesn't become two losses, it becomes three losses?
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you lose in a heartbreaking fashion the way we have, but it's always next game, next step, next team. And Coach Hilvert does a good job of having us focused on the next game at hand.
Yeah, and you get to interact with him quite a bit because he's defensive-minded head coach. Mm-hmm. What's it like playing for a guy that has that kind of mindset from your perspective?
It's great. I like having a defensive-minded head coach because we're locked in with him throughout the week, scheme, always discussing what we're going to be doing, the game plan. And it's fun to have him on our side of the ball because, he's a little crazy.
Do you have to be to play defense or to coach defense?
Yeah, to an extent. Hitting people, running around with your hair on fire, trying to make plays, there's a certain type of edge you got to have too.
Yeah, but you'd rather deliver than be on the receiving end, right?
Yeah, hammer rather than the nail.
How long have you been on it specific to the defensive side? Did you play both ways in high school, or have you always been a defensive guy?
Maybe a little spurt here and there, but I've always been a defensive guy.
What do you like about it the most?
I've never really thought about it. I like just the physicality, competitiveness, trying to stop another man from trying to move the ball forward, I guess.
Yeah, kind of imposing your will and getting to say that, my want to is better than yours. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah.
Nice. So individually, for you, what's this season been like? I know the team has won some good games and came up short in a couple others, but individually, what goal did you have coming in, and how have you progressed toward it?
The goal was really just to play. The past 3 years of my career, I've dealt with injuries a lot. So just getting the chance to play and be out there with my brothers and run around and play football with my friends was just really the goal. Everything else was just extra.
Let's talk about that a little bit if you don't mind. Technically, you're a senior, but you have a medical red shirt. Do you plan on using it?
Yeah, I plan to be back next year.
What's going to bring you back?
The culture, the camaraderie I have here. BW is a special place. I've grown up here over the past 4 years, and the chance to play another season, I just couldn't pass it up.
What were some of the injuries that you've been dealing with that led to that red shirt?
I had a shoulder surgery. I tore my right labrum freshman year, and my sophomore year, I had hurt my shoulder again.
Same one?
Yeah, bounced back, and then I broke my jaw on a kickoff, which was unfortunate. So, and then I dealt with more shoulder injuries, a second surgery that really bled into my junior year. So this is really the first year I've been able to really play.
How hard is it to have something that you're so passionate about taken away from you because your body just seems to get beat up at the wrong time?
Extremely difficult. Mentally, physically, spiritually. It tests you in every single way I can imagine. But sticking the course, keeping your head down, going to work every day, all that stuff just seems like a bad dream now.
What was the rehab process like for your shoulder?
Grueling. it's not. It wasn't like a lower body injury, which is probably a little harder to come back from. But just doing the same exercises day in, day out, your body not being able to go like it should be able to, and not feeling like you're 100% of what you could be, and knowing what you could be, that was tough.
Was there a lot of hesitation when you stepped back onto the field after those couple of surgeries and all that rehab to get that first contact out of the way?
Surprisingly, no. It's always like being on the field, it's just you want to go make plays. So the thought of me getting re-injured or like the hesitation because of the injury, it never really crossed my mind when I'm on the field.
Going back one more on the injury front, and then we'll switch to a much more pleasant topic, but the broken jaw on a kickoff, what happened there?
I made a play, and it was just unfortunate. I think I just caught like a knee underneath the chin strap, and it was just one of those freak accidents that's football at the end of the day.
It ended your season?
Yeah.
How far into the year were you?
I think it was around week 6, week 7.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was over from there.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago that BW has been a special place to you. It had to make a good positive impression on you because you left and you're far from home, and the fact that you're a Florida native in Palm Harbor, I believe you said,
Yes,
area. What brought you from Florida to Northeast Ohio to play college football?
Really just Coach Hilvert. He was the main one who recruited me throughout that entire process, and he just sold me on the culture, brotherhood, just everything about BW, and it's been more than I could ever dream.
I've talked to a couple of your teammates who are from Florida as well, and I'm going to ask you the same question I asked them. How long did it take for you to get used to the weather up here?
I still don't think I'm used to it, but we tolerate it.
I mean, what's the adjustment like, just being so far away from home and then having such different conditions?
Yeah, that first year the homesickness hit me pretty hard, but eventually you just get over it and you just deal with the cold. But at first I hated it. It was the worst thing that I could have ever lived.
And now it's not as bad?
No.
All right, well, good. I'm glad to hear that you settled in. But taking a look back at the week prior, the win over Ohio Northern 27-26, game you impacted quite a bit, a lot of tackles all over the field. I mean, how were you able to make such an impact in a victory for your fellow seniors?
Really just trying to do my job, and when the ball gets to you, you got to make the play. So my D-line did a great job all day. They came in with a game plan to run the ball, and they did that pretty effectively. But in the back end, I felt like we held up pretty well, and yeah.
So taking a look at what you've got in front of you now, going up against Heidelberg in the regular season finale, how do you carry the momentum from the win over Ohio Northern into what you're going to face against the Student Princes in Tiffin?
Yeah, it's all about just the message in practice. You win games on Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday. You don't you can't just show up on Saturday, roll the helmets out, and go beat a team. Especially like Heidelberg. They've had a good program for a couple years, for a long time now, ever since I've been here. So if we don't come ready to play, we'll have the same thing that happened to us this week. We'll be in a dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, this was a kind of an odd game in the fact that you start off so strong offensively, get a touchdown on your first drive, and then the offense goes cold basically for the rest of the first half. And Ohio Northern starts to catch up a little bit in terms of the momentum, and then they take the momentum. But the defense started to lock down at the beginning of that second half. What really clicked for you guys that got your side of the ball going and then got the whole team going?
Yeah, we started out slow, but, my whole message to the guys at half was just relax. Offense is going to put up points. We just got to do our job. If we do our job, Charlie and the offense was going to get it going. They were going to score enough points for us to win the game if we just got stops.
Yeah, and how nice is it to have that kind of confidence in terms of what Charlie's been able to do, being the fact that this is still his first year as a full-time starter, and you've seen him do some incredible things with the football.
Yeah, ever since Charlie came in as a freshman, I felt like I could see it right away that he was a really talented player. And this year he's just proved that time and time again. Making plays for us, big-time throws, just big-time plays every single week in and week out. And, having that confidence in him allows us to just play free. and not worry about what's going on the other side of the ball.
Well, TJ, thank you very much for taking the time and joining us here on the Swarm of BW Football Podcast. We greatly appreciate the time. We wish you luck, not only this week, but also all of next year as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, that's TJ Handsel of the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks again, TJ, for taking the time and joining us here on the Swarm to talk about the victory over Ohio Northern and your career at Baldwin Wallace. And now it's time to hear from the head man himself, head coach Jim Hilvert. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Swarm and BW Football Podcast. Matt Florjancic now joined by the head coach of the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, Coach Jim Hilvert. Coach, as always, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, no problems. Glad to be with you again.
Yeah, and Coach, another week, another win for the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, this time over the Ohio Northern University Polar Bears. I mean, we knew it was going to be physical going in. It was not easy by any stretch, but you pull out the 27-26 victory in front of the home crowd on Senior Day. What did it mean to get that last win for the seniors in front of the home fans?
Oh, man, everything. I thought, for those guys, obviously the blood, sweat, and tears they had put into this program, to let them end at Finney Stadium for the final time on a great note. What a game. I mean, what a football game to win by 1 point, to stop a 2-point conversion, and then recover a crazy onside kick. And to obviously put credit in those, obviously, Ohio Northern played really hard. Obviously, they did some great stuff. It was a run heck of a football game, and I thought the second half, we finally kind of woke up a little bit. I think we were emotionally drained from a long senior day, and we kind of woke up and played really well the second half and did some great things. Different guys contributing on both sides of the ball on special teams. And I was really happy to see our seniors got winners.
Yeah, no doubt. They deserve it. They put in the 4 years of work. Some put in 5 to get to this point, and it's nice to see them sent out with a victory. You mentioned it was a strange first half in the sense that there were a lot of things that happened. Ohio Northern recovers an onside kick. They had their normal kicker on the field, and then another young man just quickly approached the ball, sent it down, and then really kind of got themselves going after that. But you were able to kind of stem the tide after that and regroup. And how really were you able to stem that tide after they took a lead on you?
Like for our guys, I was like, told them this is no secret potion. You got to come out second half, be emotionally invested in what's going on, come out and play the next 30 minutes. Football's a long game, as we all know. Game lasts forever. And, they came out, they got off to a good start, scored 20-7. But I thought the blocked PAT field goal by Jordan was a huge play. People forget about. Mm-hmm. It's a huge play that people forget about. And then we started moving the ball and playing complementary football. I think once we settled down defensively the first half, then offensively we weren't playing complementary football. We were going 3 and out. Second half we started playing complementary football. Did some really good things offensively, defensively. Started feeding off that momentum. We kind of got the momentum back. And for us, that was a huge deal. And I think when we scored, Jordan Smith's, I believe, touchdown made it 20-20, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge deal. And then we stopped them, got the ball back, scored again. And to hold them off at the end with that 2-point play with Tyler Smith, a guy who's a role player. Mm-hmm. Plays maybe 10 snaps a game, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. The kid's an unbelievable team player. Goes out there. He had a couple good plays. Had another PBU, had a tackle, and then that final play when he went up and caught that interception was a great football play. And I was really happy for him. Yeah,
it just seemed like he jumped the route, read the quarterback perfectly, and was in the right place at the right time and made the play. I mean, that's all it takes is you talk about it all year long, all throughout the off-season workouts and in preseason camp. You have to be in position to make that play. You have to give yourself the opportunity to make that play, and he did.
Yes. We're talking about doing your job. Everybody did their job on that play. And that's the thing, too. When you do your job and put yourself in that position, you're able to make plays. I don't care if it's offense, defense, and special teams. And obviously, he did. And obviously, I was really happy for him because, like I said, people sometimes, there's unsung heroes. And I was really happy. We gave him the game ball after the game. His teammates were happy for him. He was thrilled to death to be able to make a play like that helped us win a game. And helped, the seniors go on a high note.
Speaking of making plays to help win a game and sending out the seniors on a high note, Jordan Smith did just about everything one human could do to send himself as a senior and his teammates out with a victory. Good pass rush. Came up with a running touchdown. Not every day that the defensive end gets subbed in and goes in a running back spot, but just let's start there. What led to that opportunity for Jordan to run the football?
First of all, Jordan's one heck of a football player. And what led to the opportunities in high school, he was a running back. And sometimes people forget about that. Matter of fact, Dom Trumbo blocked for Jordan back in the day. But, to make something that I think special for some of the seniors that were involved in that, with Jonathan Dixon blocking for him, Jordan being able to get a touchdown, just reward a kid for obviously what he's done. And he obviously did it in high school. But a guy blocked a PAT field goal, scored a touchdown, had a sack, had multiple tackles. I mean, the guy did everything for us. And I was really happy to see him and what he did and performed on the football field.
It's very difficult for a young man to make a microcosm out of a 60-minute game of what he's done over his career here at BW. But is it fair to say that that's kind of what Jordan did? He did everything that he's done all throughout his career. He just did it in a 60-minute game.
No doubt about it. I totally agree with you. He definitely did it in a 60-minute game. He's really had a great season to end on a great note for his career here at BW. He's one heck of a football player.
And he's one heck of a young man, too.
Yes,
that's the
no
thing.
doubt.
As good of a football player as he is, he's an even better person that gets it done off the field, too.
I've been very fortunate to coach him all year at defense line, being his defense line coach. And he works extremely hard. And like I said, he's a great young man who wants to perform at a high level.
One of the things he talked to us about last week was that he actually came in as a linebacker.
Yes.
And he switched to D-end, and he was kind of lukewarm about the idea, but figured it was going to be a better option for him. I mean, when you approach a player like that, I mean, he has to be kind of special in a very positive way to be willing to make that change.
Yes. And for him to make that change, I think that put him in the best possible position to be successful. And it definitely has. He's thrived at the defensive end position. He's just able to run around, get after the quarterback, make a lot of his athleticism on the defensive line too and he's twitchy, strong. He has all the things you want in a defensive end. All the things you want.
Yeah, and he sets a good example for the rest of the guys that are coming up behind him, like Hasim Rashid,
yes,
and some of the younger
J.D.
kids.
Krause, all those guys.
They get a great example, and then they can pass along those lessons when they get to be the senior year.
Right. And I think, too, the other guy who had a good game as a senior, Caden Van Court. Yeah. Another guy who had a sack. He did some things that people don't see, obviously, until you watch film. I was really happy for him until he really played well on the senior game.
Taking a look at the offense, one of the guys that I really thought set a tone for you, he didn't have a lot of splash plays, but he just a guy who makes all the plays that he needs to make to be successful, Vinny LeMayo.
Yes.
Just another outstanding effort that you've come to expect out of Vinny.
Right. Very consistent. Like you talk about guys like Vinny, George, when he ran over that guy in truck and got the guys going, like those guys are just consistent. Play hard, consistent, just doing the things the right way. Timmy Conwell comes in to make just guys being consistent and doing good things on the field, and all those guys that we just mentioned, just being consistent football players.
Yeah, we've talked to George earlier this year, and the one thing he says he likes to dish it rather than take it. He dished it in a big way, and that seemed to be an emotional lift for you when he kind of carried the player from Ohio Northern a couple of yards before he kind of ran over him. It was just really an impressive run, and really kind of signifies what he's all about.
No doubt about it. You could tell our sidelines got into it. Really raised the emotional. You could tell juice on the sidelines for us.
So you get the win on senior day. You have one more regular season game left. You're taking that trip up to Tiffin. You're playing Heidelberg. How do you carry the momentum from Ohio Northern's the win over Ohio Northern into Saturday against Heidelberg?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about win November. Each week has been a theme. Obviously, the 1 week was about heart. About coming out and getting ourselves back together, and we did that. This past week was about the seniors, about the legacy they're going to leave and get them out on a great note at George Finney Stadium. And this week is about the 2024 team, the journey they've been on. And to finish on a high note for these guys on the road, obviously in a hostile environment, which Heidelberg's a hostile place to play at. It just would put an exclamation point on this season. That we start the season off well against Wittenberg and to end the season off well against Heidelberg. That would be a huge thing for our team and for our seniors.
There are some postseason opportunities for other teams in terms of the NCAA tournament, but is there one for the Yellow Jackets too in terms of the bowl game situation?
There might be. To be honest, I have not really looked deep into that. Just telling our guys about the process this week and playing well and last game and all that stuff. So I've heard you hear different scenarios, but we'll have to wait and see.
How much would one more? I know you've had a lot of time with these guys over the season, but it flies by real quick. What would one more week mean to you if you got that?
It mean a great deal to be able to hang out with those guys one more week. I tell them the best part of my day is being on the practice field with them, hanging out with those guys. So to be able to spend one more week with those guys would be awesome.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you very much for taking the time. Congrats on the win over Ohio Northern. We look forward to seeing what you can do against Heidelberg.
Thanks for having me on.
That's head coach Jim Hilvert of the Baldwin-Wallace Yellow Jackets. We'll be back with more right after this. Our thanks, as always, go out to Coach Jim Hilvert for his unique perspective on the Baldwin-Wallace Yellow Jacket football program and sharing that with us. Taking a look now at the weekend ahead for the Baldwin-Wallace Yellow Jackets across all sports, the men's basketball team gets things underway when they host Trine University in a non-conference game on Friday night at Ersprung Gymnasium. Then on Saturday, the men's wrestling team will be at the Findlay Open, while the men's and women's swim team host Mount Union at 1 p.m. at the BW Natatorium. The men's and women's bowling teams will compete at the Ohio Bowling Conference number 3, with the first throws happening in Columbus at 10 a.m. At 11 a.m., the women's and men's cross-country team will compete in the NCAA Division III Great Lakes Regional Championships in Shelbyville, Indiana, and then the football team will round out the action when they play at Heidelberg at 1:30 p.m. Want to thank our guests one more time, wide receiver Connor Awad, defensive back TJ Handsel, and head coach Jim Hilvert for taking the time and talking with us on this week's edition of The Swarm. And we also want to wish good luck to all of the Yellow Jacket athletes across all sports that will be representing the brown and gold this weekend. For everyone here at Baldwin-Wallace, I'm Matt Florjancic saying make today better than yesterday and make tomorrow better than today. Have a great day, everybody, and as always, go Jackets!